having said this, as a well-respected artist, and that you are also an educator, and anyone who's looking at the background behind you will notice that we're in a particularly neutral sort of space with white walls, and absolutely the wrong place to be doing an interview with an artist. However, the reason for this is that you are also an educator, and I happen to be at talking to you here at La Trobe University in Bendigo, at the La Trobe Art Institute, of which you are the director and the newly appointed director. And could you say something about the notion of arts and education in rural communities, arts and education, Bendigo being a large rural community, but in rural communities in general, and how you feel about the future and the kind of aspirations you might have for the students and for education?
We have a very ambitious vision for the new La Trobe Art Institute. It is a new entity. It's only a few months old, and we are very conscious of our geography. We sit in regional Victoria, regional Australia, and we are in no sense apologetic about that, or we don't necessarily look to Melbourne or the metropolitan city for where we hope to go. We want to connect with our region, so building community and building partnerships within our region is really important. There are a lot of interesting regional galleries in our network. Your initiative at the G.R.A.I.N store is one of a range of ground up, roots up initiatives that are coming out of these small communities that I suppose have at their heart the same kind of issues that my work comes from, and that is how these rural or regional communities ultimately sustain themselves. And some of these regional communities are looking at the arts as a way of kind of engendering a sense of community, a sense of energy about their community, about who they are, about their identity. So the Art Institute is very much about drawing together and building capacity through its region. This is this is not about being a parochial kind of thing either. In fact, it's quite the opposite. At the same time as building that notion of place, of making place or place making, we're very conscious of being part of the global world as well. So part of the Art Institute and part of my task is to develop a series of international partners with other university art schools around the world. We want to establish the capacity that our students are of a place, but they embrace the world as part of their responsibility. So we want to be able to offer them a semester international abroad, where they can go to one of our partner universities in their place. Someone from that university will come here, so we start to develop a network of international connections, of like-minded institutions that think about their sense of place within an expansive notion. We want to partner organisations. We have partnership with the National Gallery of Victoria with their Melbourne Now exhibition, so we will be running a summer school in February in conjunction with them. So that partnership and the sense that our students can diversify into site-specific curatorial practice and build some of the that connectivity through our region is central to that vision.
As part of that, it's interesting to me because you're moving in a sense, in a few directions, which really gives vitality to what's happening. You mentioned the partnership with the National Gallery, and then on the other hand, there's the affiliation, Melbourne with 3.5 million, 4 million people or something like that. And then there's the affiliation with the grain store that the Trobe has, you have, where the students have recently come up from the photography area and done a wonderful project of documentation and portraiture of people in that town, which is exhibited here in Bendigo, but also in Melbourne, and also in Nathalia at the grain store. So that what you're doing really is just being open to the opportunities and making your students aware of there's a world of possibilities out there, including the possibility of overseas connections.
Yeah, look, I think it's a really good point, and we are very aware of the sort of students that we have now and the sorts of aspirations that our students have. I think to offer them the opportunity of hybrid experiences in a whole range of different ways. Like if they will get the opportunity to link with a major metropolitan exhibition like Melbourne now. They get the opportunity to connect with a small rural community. We also want to kind of break down the disciplinary silos of contemporary arts practice too. So we want our students to adopt a hybrid interdisciplinary conceptual kind of framework. So they might, still be very committed to an embedded studio practice, but they might have a little freelance curatorial kind of interest, so they can dance between some allied professions and become more diverse. And I think it's a way of allowing them to develop their own kind of independence as artists or part-time curators or part-time administrative supports for galleries or festivals or networks throughout our region. So that hybridity, I think, is increasingly important.
It's I'm going to finish this, not the last question, but it's a really important thing that you raised, is that there has tended in the last 30, 40 years of arts education, and in other periods before that, to be the notion that you study one thing and you only learn that one thing, and that is the thing you do all of your life.
Yeah.
And that's a notion. It's actually not a reality for lots of people, because if you were to look at many of the great artists, and we'll use Picasso as an example, who did ceramics, who as well as great painting, and did sculpture and theater design, and worked with artists, others in collaboration. And he's not the only one. You go back to the Renaissance, and Leonardo and others designed festivals and costumes and did their paintings and all the rest of this, as well as engineering, sort of designs that he's well known for. That the idea that you're opening the educational parameters up, I think, is a really interesting thing, because it's more real. When you move out to become an artist, you have a world of possibilities out there. And is that the kind of thing that you're looking for the students?
Oh, definitely. And I think it's not so much that I'm looking for that for the students. I think the students, in fact, are demanding that. Okay. They do come through, and I suppose it the idealisation that maybe existed in the art schools 20 or 30 years ago is still there in lots of ways, but I think it's been tempered by the pragmatism and maybe it's the vocational realities of what happens after art school. And the romanticism of the artistic garret is well and truly out of their thoughts. You know, they want to be viable. They want to be economically sustainable. So how does the art school provide that for them? I think we have a responsibility to open them up to some of those possibilities, to give them some skills and some experience and some connections that will allow them to operate flexibly within that new workspace.
Well, Neil Fettling, thank you very much.